Hey guys, Blaumagier here, and we're back with another episode of Pokemon. Let's play them all, starting with Fire Red. Now, in the last episode we made it to Viridian Forest, but before we make any progress in the forest, there's something I need to take care of. Oh yes, if you have guessed that thing I need to take care of is trade off this Rattata for my event Pokemon, then you have guessed correctly. So let's go ahead and take care of that right now. I thought I might do this off screen, but then I figured, hey, does anybody ever record trades? So anyways, we got this place upstairs in the Pokemon Center. Now this chick is just explaining the upstairs. On the left you got the Union Room, which is like a group area. And on the right you can do direct linking. So we're going to do a direct link, which requires us to save the game. So give me a minute, I gotta set it up on the other side here. There we go. And with that we are sent into the trading room. And to start trading, we just go up here to the console. Trade my Rattata for that Mew. And he's got to save the power after it trades him. Did I say save the power? Yes, it's got to save the power. No, it's got to save the game. I just woke up, so you'll have to forgive me for these, logical errors on my part. And of course, when you're in a trade room, you can look at the other person's trainer card. But enough of that. Alright, now we have this Mew. This is a special Mew. It's got a quirky nature, which means it's I haven't explained natures yet. I'll probably show it on the screen here what each one does, and I'll arrange it by which stat it changes in a positive manner to make it easy to find. But natures will increase one stat 10% and decrease another stat 10%. Every stat does this, but even though there's like 6 stats that don't change anything, that's because they increase and decrease the same stat. Quirky is one such nature. I don't remember which stat it increases and decreases, but it doesn't really matter because it ends up being the same. But that's not what's special about this Mew. What's special about it is that I checked its IVs, and most of its stats have either a 30 or a 31. The worst of its stats, which I believe was defense and hit points and speed, were a range of like 20 to 29, somewhere in there. Now obviously I can't get its exact IV because it's only level 10 and I haven't leveled it up any. But that's pretty good because the max is 31. I know IVs aren't something I've explained yet, but one thing to note here is the OT is mystery and the ID number. This means I got it from a Toys R Us event several years ago. And I did personally get it, so I know that it's legit. But anyways, now we can continue on into the Viridian Forest. And I will give you guys a quick rundown about IVs. Now, with each Pokemon, there are a certain number of things that determine its stats. IVs is one of these things, and it's one of these things that can't be changed after you've already gotten the Pokemon. IVs are decided when the Pokemon comes into creation, whether it be as an egg or in the wild in an encounter. And I can't tell you when exactly they come into creation from a Nintendo event. It actually varies depending on your game. In later games you get a Wonder Card, and the Pokemon's IVs aren't set until you actually get the Pokemon from this Wonder Card. But anyways, that doesn't matter. IVs can have a value from 0 to 31. And at level 100, this value will be the difference between 0 and 32 points in a stat. So each stat has one of these IV values: hit points, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. And that's just 32 points worth of stat right there. The other things that determine a Pokemon's stats are its species, because each species has a set of base stats. For Mew, at level 100, all of its base stats are 100. And when I say species, I mean anything that's got a numbered slot in the Pokédex. So, like Pikachu and Raichu would be different species. Nidoran female and Nidoran male would be different species. But a male Pikachu and a female Pikachu would be the same species. See what I'm getting at there? Now, you might be thinking, but wait, Pikachu and Raichu are the same species. I say no to that, because I would call that a family. The same evolutionary family. So there's a little, a little guide there to what I call everything. So, you got the base stats and you got the IVs. What else is there that can affect the stats? Well, I already explained that the nature affects the stats. And the fourth and final thing that affects stats is the EVs, or effort values. IVs, I believe, stands for individual values, or initial values. I'm not sure which one. People can't seem to make up their minds on that. Anyways, EV values, or effort values. Every species of Pokemon gives out a certain number of EVs. And the value of EVs changes over time. By level 100, 4 EV points will be 1 point in a stat. And you can have a maximum of 255 EVs in any stat, which means at level 100, 3 of those EVs would just be going to waste. You can have a maximum of 510 EVs on any one Pokemon. So that means you could get maximum EV points on 2 stats and then get 1 point in another stat. Alright, Charmander leveled up and learned Metal Claw. That'll be helpful for the first gym of the game. Now, like I said, each species gives out a set number of EVs, and there's a few things that can modify the EV gain. There's several items, I believe, in the black and white games that modify it like crazy, but I don't really know much about items, and really I don't know much about black and white in general. I mean, I've beaten it, but I didn't really spend time learning the ins and outs of it. But in the main thing that I was talking about that modifies your EV gain is an item called the Macho Brace, which I think it temporarily lowers your speed while it's equipped, but it doubles your EV gain. And then there's a status that can randomly afflict you called Pokerus, which also doubles it, and these two effects do stack. So, using those two things and some knowledge of what species grant what EVs and where to fight them, you can quickly train your Pokemon to have stats just how you want them, basically. Did I know that Pokemon evolve? I would sure hope so, since I'm trying to give people an advanced trainer lecture here. So there you have it. Those are the 4 things that affect your stats. Now, EV training is easy enough to do. IV training, that's a little bit hard. Not really hard, but time consuming. Very time consuming. Pretty much the only effective way to get the IVs you want is to just breed and breed and breed and breed. Getting 31s and everything is pretty much going to not happen unless you do something called abusing the random number generator. I know on my copy of Pearl, the only time I can get all 31 Pokemon is like for 1 instant. In like 2040 or something. Yeah, it's crazy. I'll just say that getting all 31s is super rare and probably excuse me, probably won't happen naturally. So I hope this episode has been informative to you. As we are now reaching the end of the forest. After we get through this little punk's Pokemon. Oh, all he had was a Weedle. Weak. And here we are at the end. Do you give me anything? For some reason I thought you'd give me something. And with that, here we are at Pewter City. And this is where I'm going to end the episode. So remember, if you like these videos on Stopwatch Studios, or wherever it may be posted in the future, be sure to check out my channel, which is youtube.com/MysticShadow73. And I will see you guys later.